Guys, let's go ahead and dive in. As we go through this, I want you guys to take notes or jot something down that resonates with you that you're like, ooh, I definitely want to incorporate this into my buyer presentation. Now, like I said, I'm going to share this document with you guys at the end when we're done. The PDF I'll put into the chat box and send it out to you guys as well, those who have attended. That way you can take this and start implementing it into your business right away. Having it designed, it'll be nice and pretty in the next week or so, and I'll make sure everybody gets that as well. But my question to you guys to start is, who has a buyer presentation or buyer consultation, that process where you're going to go and sit down with your clients or prospects and have a true consultation with them? Who has done that in the past? And then obviously with August 17th, who is starting to incorporate that now and moving forward? Or maybe it's on your to-do list, right? Or maybe you just need something to start with. That's always my goal. If I can get you guys, part of the way there, or the juice is flowing, or for the creativity for you guys to set up this process, what does the outline look like? So I'm an agent. I'm going in to meet with the buyer, and I'm going to sit down. What does that process look like, an outline? And what is going to be my message? Because we're going to talk about things like pre-approval. And you're going to think, oh my gosh, well, everybody knows they need a pre-approval, right? Well, sure, perhaps. But again, how are you going to convey your value? Not all buyers and prospects know what that entails. Why is it important to have a pre-approval, right? What about different loan programs and occupation, all these different things? So we're going to break down these 9 key pillars. And again, it's very going to be easy to comprehend and for you to duplicate and add into your business. But our job, what we want to do during this consultation, is showcase the complexity of the buying journey, right? You're going to showcase the complexity of the buying journey, but you as their representation, you as their agent, you're going to deliver simplicity, okay? So the entire buyer journey, as we know, it's complex. There's a lot of people involved. There's a lot of different moving pieces, and that's what we have to showcase. And again, like I was saying, all we hear is you need to communicate value, show value, communicate value. What does that mean? What does that actually mean? Well, you're going to show value by articulating your process. We are going to show our value by articulating the process, the buyer journey. What does that look like? We're going to explain it more in depth than just you need a pre-approval. Oh yeah, inspection period comes up and this is this and that, and all those different factors that go in, right? You get to escrow, I'll let you know if anything comes up. No, you have to be more detailed. We have to be more specific. And the way that we're going to communicate and show our value is by articulating that process. And here's the thing, guys, you're either going to win through preparation or reputation, but hopefully both, right? So if we're prepared and we're going into a buyer consultation, or we have a process that we're articulating to our prospects, we are going to win through that preparation. And obviously through reputation, closing deals, you have great testimonials and client reviews, great referrals. People are going to love it. And I'm going to be the one to say that when you start these buyer consultations and start articulating it in a way that's, again, showing your value, they probably have never experienced that before. One, because it wasn't really part of our process, right? Here's the thing, guys. If somebody called us and said, hey, I want to go see this house on 123 East Main Street, what did we do? Man, we're running out of the house, getting in the car, we're going. We're not even talking about compensation. We have to now. It's a much deeper conversation. We have to educate our clients. But we also have to make sure that we're confident and comfortable with how we're articulating that, because they're going to feel that on their end too. And we want to make sure that they're confident and comfortable. And again, actually showcasing this process and articulating it is going to do just that. You're going to become a lot more comfortable and confident in doing these consultations, and it's going to show to your clients as well. All right. So again, you're either going to win through preparation or reputation. Hopefully we get to the point where it's both. So post NAR settlement, how do you communicate value in a way to get your buyer broker signed? Well, we're going to talk about the 9 pillars today. Okay. It's really 8, It's really 8 pillars, guys. Okay. However, number 9 is the most crucial pillar for you. That's why there's a question mark, because we're going to talk about it at the end. But essentially, the pillars, pre-approval, what does that look like? What's the importance? What is your messaging during that conversation? The home search, we're going to dive deeper into that. Market dynamics. What are key market indicators that would affect a buyer when going to purchase a home or when you're taking them through this process? Maybe days on market could be something critical. How much inventory is coming on the market, right? All these different indicators are going to tell us how quickly a buyer may need to move in order to capture the home that they're looking to get. Okay, so we're going to talk about some of those key market dynamics. Offer research. I don't mean, Diana, I'm going to offer you some of my research. No, I'm doing research for the offer. What does that look like and why is it important? What are some of the questions that me as your buyer's agent is going to ask the listing agent, because that's key information on how we write our offer, right? A lot of those details can affect and give us strategy on how we're going to write that offer for that buyer. I'll tell you right now, just 1 through 4 right there, boom. Your client's like, okay, I feel so much more knowledgeable. I feel confident. Sounds like you're definitely going to be working for me. There's all this other stuff that you're going to be doing, right? Components of an offer. What are the 5 components of an offer that we need to discuss that are going to affect whether getting it accepted or not? Contract period. What does that look like? Look, we just found a great home for you. We just negotiated a great offer. They accepted. Now we're in the contract period. What does that look like? Inspections, all those different details. Then we're going to talk about settlement and closing. I have settlement there because there's other markets that use the word settlement instead of closing primarily. But that's what that means, right? The closing. What does that look like? Post closing. What I'm going to do for you post closing, right? You're going to keep in contact. You're going to already plant that seed. And the number 9 is a question mark, but that's you. That's going to fall on you to make all of this happen. So we're going to talk more about that there. So those are the pillars that we're going to dive in. Let's go ahead and get started. So pillar number 1, pre-approval. So pretend I'm the agent, you're the buyer. I'm talking to you guys about this, right? Right? Cash or financing. Are you going to choose to pay cash or are you looking to secure a loan? Have you already thought about getting a pre-approval? Why is it important? We want to make sure that we're prepared. You need to understand what your financing looks like. You've got to talk to a lender. What are the loan options? Well, there's several different loan options. Man, a loan officer is going to talk to you about FHA, conventional. Are you VA? Right? What about occupation? There may be grants available based on your occupation, right? You're implanting these ideas. You're giving them all the facts. You're helping them understand all of their opportunities, because our goal is to get them the best deal possible, and we have to guide them through that process. Here's the thing. Sure, you bank with whatever bank, but there's mortgage brokers out there that may be able to get you a better rate or deal or program. Maybe you're with the credit union, right? What are all those differences? Those are key things. Don't think because the process is easy, I'm going to go online and secure a loan, right? There's much deeper value in understanding what the difference is between traditional banks, mortgage brokers, and credit unions. And you want to break that down for them. Just like their occupation. Maybe there's health provider or healthcare worker programs available, or first responders. VA, what kind of grants are available? Also, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, what about how much down? Have you heard of down payments? Have you heard of closing costs? Right? What do those numbers look like? Those are things that you're gonna have to come to the table. Obviously, you're gonna have a loan officer or a lender that's gonna help digest all of this and help you secure the best financing possible. But I want to make sure that you're aware that you can also shop loans to get the lowest rate. So just because you go to one loan officer or one mortgage company doesn't mean you have to be tied into that. There may be better options. Shop that rates, encourage that. Obviously, loan officers, lenders probably don't love that, right? They hired us to help them get the best deal and to help them through this process. And so it's our duty to lay out all their options and to make sure that they're aware and educated on what that process looks like. And here's the thing, buyer, your loan officer is going to be vital at the offer stage. And here's why. After we secure financing and we get you a great deal, we negotiate deal, the offer is accepted. During that acceptance, when we send that offer over, we're going to help coach up that loan officer and that listing agent and make sure they understand that your financing is solid. Your financing, we're going to have that loan officer communicate that to that listing agent and help them be able to communicate that to their homeowner. Okay, so sure, you may have family that's a loan officer. You may have a friend that's a loan officer, which is great, right? We want to support each other, but we also want to make sure that they're strong enough and they have enough to back them to be able to convey your solid financing to the potential, the homeowner and the listing agent. Okay, guys, so we have to break down. And here's the thing. Maybe you don't include all these. Maybe you're thinking of things right now that you're going to add into this for yourself, for your business, right? This isn't a set in stone. This is simply an outline that you're going to go in and tweak so that you can make sure that it aligns with your business model and the message that you want to give to your clients and prospects. But we have to expand on the conversation. It's not just, oh yeah, call ABC loan officer because I work with them. They're great. They're amazing. No, we have to expand on the conversation. What all goes into financing? What are all the different programs available? And I'm going to make sure I get you the best rate. So if there's a better deal out there, I'm definitely going to share that with you. All right. Speaking of rates, are we all excited that we're starting to go in the right direction? Okay. I'm pretty excited that 2025 and 26 seem to be like they're going to be some busy years again. So let's keep our fingers crossed it keeps going. Pillar number 2, the home search process. Of course, you're going to ask them, how have you been searching? Obviously, you're going to talk about what are their needs and wants. Oh, I need 3 bedrooms, lot size needs to be this big, car garage needs to be close to the school, all those different things. Cool. Yeah, we're going to get to that. That's awesome. But how have you been searching? We want to understand their behavior. What platforms have they been looking? Of course, they're going to say Zillow, Realtor, Redfin, wherever it is, right? That's where everybody's looking. But did you know that you're missing all the off-market inventory? I have access to that. So based on our conversation and what you're looking for, you may not be finding what's active, but there's a slew of off-market inventory that we need to take a look at. There's things called coming soon that more times than not is never syndicated to the public, right? Their list is coming soon. I'm going to take a look at that list and see if anything pops up. Pocket listings, new home builds. Maybe they have multiple floor plans, layouts, and designs, but online they're only showing you a handful, right? Again, this conversation, even down to, does it make sense that you're buying resale versus new home builds? Also, did you know there's a ton of properties that wanted to sell their home but didn't? We call those expired and canceled. So I'm going to go back into our system and I'm going to take a look based on your criteria to see if there's been any expired or canceled, and let's say in the last 6 months, and I'm going to see if they're still interested in selling. What changed? I have a client, they're looking, it's perfect, it fits their criteria. What happened? What changed? And would you still be open to showing my buyer or selling your home, right? You kind of have to think outside the box. Of course, everyone has access to ZillowRealtor.com to search for those properties, but there are a ton of opportunities for my buyer, my client, for you, that we may be able to find that home that you're looking for in off-market inventory. And of course, you're going to provide access and range showings at the buyer's convenience, right? We know this. after work, weekends, whatever it may be, depending on that schedule, you're going to make sure that you're available to show those houses for them. Okay. Here's the thing, things pop up. Maybe you say, and don't worry, if I end up being on vacation, maybe I don't have any planned right now, or if I'm out, or if something pops up, I want you to know I have partner agents that I work with that help with showings in times that I'm not available. So rest assured, me and my team are always going to be there available for you. Someone's available. Would you pay an agent whatever amount to go show, open some doors and for your client if you're unavailable, if they call you when you're on vacation? Because we all know we should all take more vacations because it seems like that's when they want to buy. That's when they want to call us. Happens all the time. But again, through the home search process, it's more than just tell me what you're looking for. It's okay. Yeah, I'm going to go in. I'm going to take a look at maybe what didn't sell as well. I may have some pocket listings. Maybe you're part of a team, or maybe your office or brokerage has pocket listings, or you guys talk about these in your meetings and somebody has something coming soon, right? I network all the time. And if I see or hear something that comes up or that's coming soon, I'm going to make sure that I get that information over to you. So you got to break down that process. It's a little bit deeper, right? Going through that process and value of being able to say, yeah, it's not just about you're looking for this certain criteria, but here are our options. I mean, you can even go deeper on a level. I haven't done buyer letters in so long, but they still work. I know agents that are sending those out. So if they want to be in a certain subdivision, maybe you're going to go door knock for them. Or you're going to send out communication to them to see if any of them are interested for that. That's going above and beyond. That's articulating your value, right? Especially if we want to get them to sign that buyer broker agreement. All right, pillar number 3, market dynamics. You're going to convey key market data to your buyer, right? And you're probably going to have the conversation. Look, I'm sure you've seen national news. They love those headlines. They love those headlines. But I want to make sure that you know the key data that's local that's going to affect you when you buy your home. And we're going to leverage it to our advantage. So of course, we're going to talk about average list to sell price ratio. We want to know, are homes getting 100% of asking price? Are they getting over or are they getting under? Because if you come to me and you say, hey, this home we found, they're asking 600,000, I want to offer 550. We've all had these clients, right? Start to lowball. I want to offer 500. Cool. Let's take a look at the average list to sell price. Well, it looks like 99% of the homes are getting 100% asking. That's going to be tough. But isn't it easier to convey the message and reasoning why you may not want to go that low? Well, because the majority of the market is getting 100% asking price, or maybe they're getting over. I know this is at 600,000, and quite frankly, all the homes that have sold in the last 30 days, 45 days, have been getting over asking. They've been getting 101%, 102%, whatever it may be. Or are they getting under? Again, we're trying to get our client the best deal. So we're articulating that we're gonna look at this data. We're gonna pull this data once we identify that property, and we want to make sure that our offer is in line with that local market there. Days on market. How long are homes taking to go under contract? How long do we have, or how quick are homes moving? So if days on market is low, when we find that home and we pull all this data and we have all of our ducks in a row, we probably want to move quick. And we probably want to make our offer strong. Okay. Days on market matter. How long do we have? And how quick are homes going to be moving? Month supply of inventory. How often are new listings coming to market? How long does it take to sell? Why is that important? Well, if inventory is super low, we're probably going to get creative. How long does it take to sell? Again, this kind of goes hand in hand with days on market. If something's on the market for 100 days, 150 days, we probably have a little bit of wiggle room. Compared to if we go look at properties and a particular property has been on the market for a week, it's going to be much more difficult to go under or get a very, very strong deal because of that, right? Because they're still going to be waiting. So it's just letting the buyer understand that process, why these key pieces of data matter and how it affects us when we go to make that offer. Because here's the thing, we want to know all the different factors so that we can have a clear picture and write a very clean, strong offer. My goal is to get you this house. You want this house? Cool. Let's look at all the different key pieces that we need to make it a strong offer. Does that make sense, guys? Obviously, there may be some other data that, again, that you want to include in here. Okay, maybe you're looking at Altos market reports that Rock Title provides, right? Or some other key pieces of data that you want to include into here. But we have to be able to convey why these data points are important and how it affects them as a buyer when they go to make that offer. Any other key pieces of data that you would add in there? Make this a little fun and collaborative. Can anybody think of any other key pieces of data? Let me check the chat box real quick while we're doing this. Thank you for subscribing.
I have one. Maybe if it was like on the market before and then was off for a little bit and then came back on.
I love that. Let's take a look at the history, right? I'd love to add that as a bullet point. Let's look at the listing history. Has it been listed before? Has it been pulled off the market? Did they wait a certain amount of time so that it reset, right? Those are all different things that would factor in as well, Priscilla. Love that one. Any others? Patrick said withdrawn temporarily off market. Absolutely. Absolutely. Again, you're probably going to go through when they identify that property, and most of us do this, we're going to go through and look at that history, but we're not conveying that, right? A lot of times we keep a lot of information to ourselves and we just expect our buyers to, no, we have to further explain. Again, guys, the whole point of a buyer consultation is, quite frankly, we want to make our buyers just as knowledgeable, if not more, than other agents that are out there. Okay, we want to make sure that they have the confidence and power to make the best decision, and we have to be able to give them that information. We're going to talk about, we're gatherers of information, we're gatherers of intel, and that's what we're going to give to our client.
I was thinking also, Justin, that it could be giving them, we can search information to see if the property is in distress, or if the, if the seller has been in default on things and things like that. We can run that research with access to that.
Absolutely. Maybe like a pre-foreclosure or, yeah, absolutely. For sure. The other thing is, maybe we're going to get with title and do a preliminary and just see if there's anything that we need to know ahead of time. A lot of listing agents pull that info, but as a buyer's agent, maybe you're getting that pulled as well. Good stuff, guys. Pillar number 4, offer research. Oh, okay, there's a little bit there. Offer research. Of course, as you go through the process of elimination, you're going out, you're showing hot properties, and maybe the property looks really good online. They love it. I feel like we've all experienced it at some point, right? Photos are like, wow, this place is amazing. You get there in person, those photos were amazing. In person, not so much, right? Or, maybe it looks great online and we get there and there's power lines in the backyard that weren't really shown in the photos. Or we get there and there's certain odor. Maybe they had pets, right? Those are all good things that we want to discuss with our client. That's why it's important, is when you find one that you absolutely love online that looks great, it is imperative that we go see it, of course, as soon as possible. But we want to make sure that, there's certain characteristics that would maybe deter us away. We want to identify those. So it's a deeper home search, right? Of course, you're going to go through the process of elimination. Once you identify that actual house, That's where you start to go and gather informations. We get paid in direct proportion of the information we gather, not necessarily the information we give. So through this whole buying journey, we are gathering a ton of information for our client, right? So they can make the best decision possible. So we need to gather that information. It's our job to gather intel once you're interested in a property. What kind of intel does that look like? Well, we need to know how long the home, this particular home that you want to write an offer on, how long has it been on the market? We just talked about those key market pieces. How long has it been on the market? That's going to tell us if it's 3 days, it's going to be tough. If it's 180 days, okay, there's some wiggle room there. Why? If it's been on the market for a long time, we're going to go through and I'm going to ask that listing agent, what's going on? Could it be the market? Could it be certain characteristics of the property? I'm going to ask that listing agent, once we identify that property that you want to make an offer on, I'm going to ask them, how many showings are you getting? How many that are on this call right now, when you go to write an offer, do you call the listing agent and ask some important information or just some different pieces of information to get more of an idea? Brianna said every time, right? How many showings are you getting? What's the motive with the seller? Why is the seller selling? Right? These are all appropriate questions to ask. Why is the seller selling? Oh, they're downsizing. Oh, they're moving to wherever, right? Or they need more room, whatever it may be. But we want to know what is the motive behind selling? Oh, it's distressed, or we gotta, they're whatever it is, right? Are there any critical dependencies for the seller on what they are looking for in terms of time frame or pricing? I need to know, we need to know that does the seller need to stay in the home 60 days after closing? Or are they in a hurry? Yeah, the seller would love to be done in the next 60 days. What about pricing? Yeah, the seller's really, we're pretty firm on the price, right? What did they buy the home for? We often can see that in tax records. But maybe what did they buy the home for? How much equity spread do they have? Is it tight? Or is there some wiggle room? What type of financing did they have? Here's one that I love. Hey, when the homeowner bought the home, did they get any concessions? Why do we want to know that? Well, if we're going to ask for concessions, it'd be nice to know if they had experience with concessions. And if the answer is yes, they probably understand why. Financially, right? They probably needed some help with the financing. So it's good to know if that homeowner has already experienced concessions, because then if you go in with concessions, they already have that knowledge and experience with that. There may be some other questions. Again, I'll open it up to you guys. What other questions would you maybe ask that listing agent that isn't listed here, or that you may add into that would benefit the buyer? Again, we're gathering intel so that we can write an offer based on the information that we have. And the way that you're talking through this consultation, whether it's 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, however long it is again, you're articulating what you're doing on behalf of the buyer. I think someone put some in the chat box. Every time they do. What's their time frame? Absolutely. Typically call for offer, seller. Are there any other offers? Yeah. Do you have any current offers? Every time, and that's why I most always win a multiple offer scenario. Love it, Karen. Yeah, previous offers. Were there any previous offers? Yeah, there was one or two, but they decided. Cool. Why did they decide not to? What was in that offer that they did not choose to go with it? Maybe that's what you avoid, depending on what it is, right? Again, the more intel you have, the better you're going to be able to give that information to your client and write a strong offer. Cancellations, yeah, were there any cancellations? Was it in escrow? Did it drop? Time, money, post-possession? Absolutely. That's a big one. Well, yeah, the seller really, once they sell, they've got to stay here for another 30 days or so. All right. Okay, so those are all pieces that you definitely want to know. All right, pillar number 5, components of an offer. I have 5 components of an offer. Again, if you want to add more, you absolutely can. It is up to you. But the 5 components that I have here is purchase price. So, Karen, when we go through and write this offer, some of the things that we need to talk about is purchase price. Based on all this intel that I got, all the key market data, I think this would be a great offer, a great starting point, whatever you want to put in there, based on these data points. We also need to talk about closing costs. Have you heard closing costs? Oh yeah, no, I've heard, or no, what does that entail? Well, you got to break it down. It's gonna be title fees, lender fees, HOA, possibly. We're gonna try to negotiate as much as we can for the seller to pay, but understand that closing costs is what you're gonna need to come to the table with on closing day. Is there an average? Maybe, right? Maybe you have those numbers for your local market, but what does that look like for them? One of the biggest things that I always hear is the surprise of how much closing costs are sometimes for clients. It's better to have the conversation up front. That's why talking with the lender and getting your pre-approval so you can start understanding what some of those costs are going to be is important. We're also going to have some contingencies within this offer, within the contract. You're getting a loan, so we're going to have an appraisal. Here's a scenario. Let's break down appraisals a little bit. If an appraisal comes at value, we're good. If an appraisal comes above asking, here's a scenario. If an appraisal comes under asking, here's a scenario. Here's options. Here's what the parties have. Inspection. I'm speaking strictly here in Phoenix with ARMLS, but standard 10-day inspection period. Okay, during that inspection period, understand that we have an opportunity to have a general home inspector. Maybe there's a pool. You may, I'd encourage you to get a pool inspection. During our walkthrough and stuff, we saw something on the roof. I'd probably encourage you to get a roof inspection, right? Is 10 days enough? I remember back in 2020 and 21 when things were so busy and crazy that it was so, do we remember that? It was tough, at least here in this market. I mean, inspectors were backed up. Okay, but what does that look like? What's the inspection period look like? Do we go shorter? Do we need more time, depending on how big the house is and how available they are? All those different things. But we want to make sure that we do our due diligence, and we want to make sure that this house is sound and you're comfortable with what comes up on that inspection. If anything, always something, whatever comes up with that. And then you have an opportunity to obviously ask the seller to repair anything like that. Okay. Also, earnest money. When we go to write this offer, we're going to have some earnest money to go down. What is that? It's like a deposit, right? It goes towards your closing costs. So it's either writing a check or a wire or however you're going to get those funds to title, whatever the average percent is, or whatever, you want to talk to them about that. Because again, anytime a client or a buyer has to come up with money, we want to make sure that they understand that fully. So when they get to the closing table or they get to start having to fork out some of this money, that it's not a shock to them. Inspections. Yeah. And, I have inspector partners, average is about $600, $700, whatever it is, right? You want to start conveying those dollar amounts in the different pieces there so that they're aware of it. In closing date, once we get to that offer stage, and I've done some research and, the listing agent says that the seller needs to close by this certain date, we need to know that. Or you as the buyer Maybe you're in an apartment, or your land, you have to get out, or whatever it is, or maybe you're moving from out of state, right? We got to know and kind of work those closing dates of what makes sense for you. So when we go to write the offer, we got to sit down and look at the calendar and make sure that it makes sense. Here's the other thing, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer. How we present the offer is critical. When I go to send over this offer, one, I'm going to make sure it's clean. Two, I'm going to make sure that I communicate with that agent. I'm going to call that agent and say, hey, we're writing an offer. I'm going to send this over to you. I just wanted to give you a heads up. Communication is so important. How you present it is so important because it showcases, are you going to be an easy agent to work with? Do you have great communication? Or are you giving more of a sloppy, second thought type of vibe, right? It matters. We've all received offers in the entire PDF, 50-page long PDF, has docs in there that they don't even need, right? Make sure it's clean. Make sure it's broken up in a way that it's easy for them to articulate. When you go to send that email, break it down. Hey, when I send your offer over, I'm not only going to call the agent and talk through with them, I'm going to make sure the PDF and everything is clean. I'm going to break it down in the email so all the key components and pieces are easily available, easy to read, and they can present it to their client. I'm going to make it as easy as possible because I want them to know that I'm organized, I'm professional, I have a process, and that I'm serious about this offer. Your communication matters. Make the presentation that your process will give the seller and listing agent confidence that you're going to be easy to work with. Right? And you just articulated how you do that. But you've got to talk to your client about what that offer looks like. When you get to the offer stage, these are the key components that we're going to discuss and that we're going to need to make a decision on. And of course, I'm going to be there with you to help you through that. But I just want you to be aware ahead of time that this is what we're going to go through. Any questions on Pillar 5? Feedback? Anything that you would add? Anything that you would add in there?
Someone has a question in the chat.
Right. What if appraisal comes higher? What does that process look like? I'm not going to answer a scenario because I'm not a broker. I'm not your broker. And I've learned not to answer broker questions. But I'm going to give you the, obviously the scenario to go through. But, if you need help with that language, look, like if an appraisal comes in higher, this is the scenario. Absolutely, Karen, buyer broker's commission. I do kind of put that down at the bottom. We'll talk about that a little bit. What does that scenario look like? Right? So oftentimes we're still seeing about 96% of homeowners are offering some type of compensation to the cooperating broker. Now, will that change in the future? We don't know. This is all still fresh for everyone. But in the case that they don't offer maybe what my business model is, or the compensation that I charge, this is what that looks like. I'm either going to get paid by you, the buyer, or I'm going to be compensated and we're going to negotiate for the seller to pay the compensation. Okay. If not, this is what it looks like. It's just like when appraisal comes in higher. Here's the scenario. Can the seller then change the contract and get the higher appraisal amount, right? You just got to talk them through that whole process, what that looks like.
Justin,
Yes,
may I elaborate on that a little? I've been in that situation.
sure.
When an appraisal comes in higher, number one, the seller knows nothing about it because it's the buyer getting the appraisal. They don't have to give it to them unless there's a situation where, hey, the appraisal came in lower. Here, what do you want to do with this? That's when the compromise or the negotiating comes in, is when it's lower. If it's higher, All that means is the buyer got extra equity in the house. They don't have to reveal that to anybody because it's their appraisal. They paid for it. They do not have to give it to the seller. So that's what you need to talk to your buyer about. If it comes in higher, they say nothing because they have more equity in the house and they just gained. So you don't want to say anything.
Absolutely. But that's a good conversation. That's exactly what you should talk about the appraisal with your buyer during this consultation and what those scenarios look like. Absolutely. Pillar number 6, contract period. All right, so we got our contract accepted. Your loan officer is going to work now. You're definitely applying for that loan, right? They're going to take a look at those rates, all the different programs you're doing. And during this contract period, just like we talked a little bit about before, is the home inspection, right? I've got partners that I will be able to share these with you. You have the full opportunity to pick your own, whoever you want, but here's 3 that I've worked with before. I trust. These are their prices typically, depending on what that home looks like, square footage, all that kind of stuff. Again, going through the appraisal process. What does that look like? Timeline for the contract. During this process, please understand that I'm going to make sure that we meet all the different timelines that are due. Earnest money is due within a certain amount of period. Your inspection starts here and it ends here. Everything we need to do, we need to make sure we do it within that period. After the inspection process, how long does a seller have to get back to you on that BINSR or on that request for repairs? Again, Vegas, I know you have a little bit of different verbiage on that, but through that inspection period. We're going to push this transaction forward in a powerful manner while maintaining your protection. So we're going to be aggressive and we're going to make sure that you're protected through this entire process. And we do that by ensuring that we don't miss any timelines. We don't want to be in a situation where we're in breach of contract. So time is of the essence. So when I call you or I talk to you about something and I'm pushing to, get the inspection or whatever it is, that's because we want to make sure that you are protected. What about the team aspect? I have a transaction coordinator who's going to help us maintain that timeline, who's going to help us coordinate all these different things, because it is so important that we do that. Our team of inspectors, lender partners, home warranty, title and escrow. You may choose to get a home warranty. Here are the benefits. Here are the average costs. Maybe you're including your home warranty partners or any of your partners, maybe in your folder that you're going to leave with after the consultation or hand to them. It's going to show all the different packages there. Every home warranty company has some type of flyer or pamphlet that you can include into that. Right? You're leaving them with something that they can further read into and make a good decision on if it's appropriate for them. Appraisers, we have key relationships with solid professionals. So I want you to know that my team, is here to help you. And again, you can choose whoever you want to work with in these, but this is why we're working with them. Title and escrow. Maybe we can get a discount because you're a teacher or you're a first responder. Rock Title, we have those flyers, those discount flyers. Add those into your folders and consultations. I think we have a discount just about for everyone. Okay, so investors, all those different things. So, leverage your team or leverage your vendor partners for some marketing pieces that you include in this folder or your consultation as well. But during that contract period, you're going to go through what that looks like. Cool, we got accepted. We're opening escrow. We have to give them earnest money. Remember, we talked about earnest money previously in a couple slides before. And so we got to open escrow, and then we definitely got to get your lender the ball rolling there as well. Settlement or closing. Once we get to that stage, this is the day that all the money changes hands. It's an exciting day. And again, we're going to get you the lowest title fees possible. Maybe your title partner matches rates. Maybe you have special relationships or that discount, right? Also, when we get to the closing day, what's going to be more convenient for you? Are you good with signing in one of these offices? Here are some of the locations. Or you're busy, we're going to help you with a mobile notary. If any of my clients, any of my personal deals, I always just paid for the mobile notary if that's what they needed. $100, whatever it is, right? But it depends on your business model. That's the beauty of this business, is you get to choose how you work it. Mobile notary, virtually available all the time. They're going to come to your house or your job or wherever it may be. Just know that's an option. So it's not like you have to go into the office to sign. We can meet you wherever you are. Our negotiation and our relationships are going to help drive down your closing costs. How do we do that? Well, because maybe there are certain discounts that we can offer. Right? Anything like that. Maybe my lender partner will match rates or help drive down those, or they have different programs, whatever it may be. Special programs. I might have, I work with an inspector all the time and there's special pricing, whatever it may be. Our job is to ensure that when we get to that closing, through this entire buying journey process, to ensure everyone involved is aligned for your home buying journey. We know that's true, right? We're in touch with escrow. We're in touch with lending. We're in touch with the inspectors, home warranty. I mean, I'd be calling HOAs, try to figure stuff out. We're information gatherers, and we want to make sure that we continue to push this transaction through the end. All right, number 8. Post-closing. So at the end of this transaction, it's really just the beginning of a new chapter for your clients, right? So I'm talking to my buyer through this consultation, and once we get to closing, that's where that's where your new chapter truly begins, right? And we're here for you beyond closing day. I have a home service guide that I'm going to be sharing with you. Has all the trusted, vetted contractors, painters, landscaper, pool professionals, HVAC, plumbing. It's a list, right? I'm going to share that with you because things may come up. Maybe you want to repaint something, whatever it may be. I'm here for you beyond the closing. That's really when our relationship is going to take off. And you're going to implant this into their head. I'm going to reach out to you quarterly and check to see how things are going and if you need any assistance relating to your home. So know that just because we get to the closing table, I hand you the keys, it's a glorious day, I'm going to keep in touch with you. We should do this already, but a lot of us don't. What is your keeping in touch schedule look like for your past clients? Do you call them once a quarter? We're going to be talking about that in this 7 levels of communication. What does that look like for you? But let them know that you're not transactional. You're truly here for them beyond the closing. Anything that comes up, you can help coordinate with title. Maybe they needed some extra, another copy or whatever it is, you can help them with that. Okay. But you're going to reach out to them quarterly and you're just going to check and see how things are going, if there's anything they can help you with. Now, can anybody guess what number 9 is? You can throw it in the chat box. Can anyone guess what number 9 is? Absolutely, Patrick. The man got it right. His personality. Asking for referrals. Absolutely. That's part of it too. Maybe that's part of the closing here. Like, I'm going to reach out to also, do you know anyone, based on your experience through this process, you can even ask this during the consultation. You're on pillar number 8 and you're like, also, since I've explained this to you, do you know anybody that would benefit from my services? Or do you feel like this has been valuable enough that you would share this with one of your friends or colleagues that that are looking to buy real estate? Right? All right, here's number 9. Execution. This is on you guys. Are you going to take the time to write out your own outline of what this looks like? It could be on a doc like this. I'm going to make it prettier and editable for you guys, so you can take this and make it your own. but it's execution. This is your commitment as buyer's agent to create, implement, execute a solid consultation. The agents that are going to win going forward are confident, strong negotiators, and can articulate their value in some type of document, system, process, however you need to do it, whether it's a Word doc or a fancy, Canva template or whatever it is, pamphlet. You got to be able to have something. It's going to make you more confident, and it's definitely going to make your prospects more confident and comfortable that they're making the right decision. I skipped over this a little bit, but I put in here, this is me talking to my prospect or my buyer I'm having a consultation with. Do you think we can provide some value and help you accomplish your goals through this process? The answer is going to be yes, 99.9% of the time if you go through this. Again, guys, the days of, hey, I'm looking to buy a house, even if it's a referral, please sit them down, go through this process with them. And they're going to say, yeah, I absolutely. You've been amazing so far. Great. When would you like to get started? And then you dive in, obviously, to the buyer broker and all that. Somewhere in there, you're going to talk about maybe, and I'm speaking on Arizona. This is why I'm not diving deep into the buyer broker, because it's different in certain markets, but maybe, explain to them, hey, if, it's a 6-month period or whatever you want to do, right? You guys are going to work on that. But do you think, based on what you just heard and what I showed you, do you think that we can provide you some value and help you accomplish your goals through this process? Yeah, cool. When do you want to get started? Now. Awesome. Pen and paper, right? But this only can happen, this only can become a reality if you take what some of the pieces you learned today, or you take what you've learned today and actually implement it into your business. Tanya said, my question would be, how do you convince a buyer if they have to pay you the commission to potentially lower their buying power to give you compensation? Again, Tanya, I'm going to leave that to your broker. I'm not going to speak on legal stuff with the docs, but yes, no, absolutely. So insert that into here somewhere in this process. And practice, practice, practice. Write this out. You're talking to yourself, you're looking in the mirror, or you're asking friends or a spouse or a colleague to go through this process. How does it feel for them? And then when you get to the end, be like, okay, so how did that make you feel? Do you feel like you're more knowledgeable than you were previously before this meeting? Got to show your worth. How are you going to articulate that? Absolutely. Here's some other things. The 3 agreements that govern a transaction. When I have my consultations or when I talk to clients when I was actively selling, I really talked about this. So listing agreements are between the seller and listing agent. Understand that the buyer agreement is between you and I. And then there's a purchase contract. Once we get our offer accepted, that's going to be between you and the seller. Okay. Again, oftentimes the seller is offering compensation so that it's not such a big number for you. And we're going to push for that. We're going to negotiate that. But in the instance that they don't, or maybe they don't cover it all, maybe they don't offer 3 bananas. Maybe they're offering 2 or 2.5. For me, or for you, these are things for you guys to think about. Am I going to accept that and lower it, or am I going to expect my buyer to come out of pocket and still owe that certain amount? Again, the beauty of this business is we get to create our own business model. What are you willing to work for? You've got to explain that. Don't worry about it. About 96% of the transactions, the seller is still offering compensation to the buyer's agent. But in the case it's not, this is my fee. All right. And I'll leave you guys with this. This is one of my favorite quotes. You probably already read it on the screen. It's not the strongest of the species that survives, but the one most adaptable to change. One thing is certain in this industry and in life in general is things are constantly changing, constantly evolving. We have to be adaptable. I know a lot of us are feeling overwhelmed and we felt overwhelmed for the last several months with this whole NAR settlement, with all the different things that we have to do in this industry. But please take the time to invest in a strong process that you can articulate to your buyers, to have a strong buyer consultation. Get comfortable with the uncomfortable, become more confident. And if you have to take stronger negotiation classes, go do it. Right? Absolutely. But you got to be adaptable. All right, guys, I will share this with everybody I'll send this email out to everyone who's on the call who registered. I'll get it over to you so you can start doing it right away. Like I said, I am having this designed to be a little bit more prettier and more of a presentation style that you guys will be able to edit and change anything for you guys. I'm just checking the chat box really quick. You guys are the best, truly. I love our agent community. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. Please, 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 if you haven't subscribed, I said I wouldn't talk about it, but I am. If you haven't subscribed, please go subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Rock University. This recording will be up by tomorrow for you guys to take advantage of. And please register for the class next week as well. We're going to talk about how to leverage 7 levels of communication. And I hope that we get to see you in escrow very, very soon. I appreciate you all. I hope you have an amazing rest of your week. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye, guys.